Now though, on BBC Radio 3, it's 8 o'clock, and in Drama on 3, another chance to hear a trilogy of plays first broadcast at Christmas 2004. Three Japanese travellers swap extraordinary tales with each other in a tea house while they're sheltering from the snow outside. Adrian Scarborough, Simon Russell Beale and Paul Rees are the travellers in Three Japanese Gothic Tales by Izumi Kyoka, dramatised by Georgia Pritchard.
I wanted only a cup of tea, and to rest my legs for a few moments. I had no intention of staying. There were two other customers there, a monk and a wanderer. I bowed briefly to both, but paid them no further attention. As soon as the tea had reached my toes, I stood up to leave. To my amazement, the world I had left behind when I entered the inn had changed. The snow must have fallen quickly and silently. I opened the door.
"You had best stay here tonight, sir. It is no time to be travelling,"
said the monk. I hesitated.
"I sense you are eager to reach your destination,"
said the wanderer. Yes, I am.
"We are all eager to reach our destination. But sometimes one makes greatest progress by standing still."
Perhaps you're right.
"I am travelling to the shrine of Kunoya Canon. My friend here is heading south. Where will your journey take you?"
I am on no journey. I'm going home. But I need to get there without delay.
"May I ask why?"
I cannot tell you, honourable monk, for you would surely disapprove of my actions and admonish me. All I can tell you is that only hours ago I set out, determined to get to my destination with the utmost speed and swiftness, and now I am rushing back from that place with even more urgency and haste.
"You must not fear admonishment from me, good sir. It is neither my place nor my wish to deliver such judgment. And to prove it, I shall tell you a story of a journey I made many years ago. Like you, I set off in haste, and like you, I returned even more hurriedly. Listen closely to what I'm about to say, and remember that what you hear from a monk isn't always a lecture or a sermon." Many years ago, I was on my way between the deep mountains of Hida and Shinshu, and I was lost. Not a single tree offered the comfort of its shade, and on both sides were nothing but mountains, rising so close and so steeply that both bird and cloud were blocked from my sight. Between earth and sky, I stood alone, the rays of the blistering midday sun falling around me as I surveyed the map from beneath the brim of my sedge hat. I had pushed myself at a fast pace, and my throat was as parched as the road beneath my feet. So when I saw a tea house, I stopped immediately. I ordered some tea and waited impatiently for the kettle to boil. As I waited, I noticed a bucket of water. I was about to scoop up a handful of water from the bucket when something occurred to me. "Excuse me, is this water from your well?"
"It's from the river."
"The river? But down the mountain in Suji I saw signs of an epidemic. Does this water come from there?"
"No, it doesn't."
I hesitated.
"What's the matter with him? Is he scared of water?"
I turned to see I was not alone in the tea house. There was a young medicine peddler smirking at me from one of the darker corners. He was dressed in an unlined striped kimono, a cheap sash, and straw sandals. He had a square medicine chest tied to his back with a pale yellowish-green cotton cloth, and he held an umbrella in his hand, the typical travelling salesman.
"Hey, monk, may I ask you a question?"
"Of course."
"Now, you know you're never going to make it with the ladies, so you shave your head and become a monk, right? So why worry about dying? That's a little odd, don't you think? The truth is, you're no better than the rest of us. Take a look at him, miss."
I was a young man at that time, and my face burned red with shame. I froze there with the scoop of water still in my hands.
What are you waiting for? Go ahead, drink till you drown. If you come down with something, I'll sell you some of my medicine.
I was so furious. I rushed out of the tea house, down the road, and through some rice paddies in the foothills. I had gone some distance when the path rose steeply. I stopped to rest for a while, but was soon disturbed by the sound of someone approaching. It was the medicine peddler I had encountered at the tea house, hurrying along to overtake me.
Good day.
I didn't answer. The peddler carried on to the top of a small hill where he stopped, holding his opened umbrella in one hand, then he disappeared down the other side. I followed him, climbing the steep slope until I made it to the top. The peddler was already at the bottom of the hill and was standing on the road looking this way and that. I suspected he might be planning some mischief and followed cautiously in his footsteps. When I reached the bottom of the hill, I could see why he had stopped. The road forked at that point. One of the two paths was extremely steep and headed directly up the mountain. It was overgrown with grass on both sides and wound round a huge cypress tree, then disappeared behind a number of jutting boulders that were piled one on top of the other. My guess was that this wasn't the road to take. The wide, gently sloping one that had brought me this far was, no doubt, the main road. But what was this? The cypress I mentioned arched like a rainbow over the deserted road, extending into the endless sky above the rice paddies. The earth had crumbled away from its base, exposing an impressive tangle of countless eel-like roots, and from there a stream of water gushed out and flowed over the ground right down the middle of the road I had decided to take, flooding the entire area before me. The medicine peddler hesitated and then started climbing the hill to the right, where he disappeared behind the cypress tree.
Hey, monk! This is the road to Matsumoto, but watch out or the tree spirits will get you.
With that, he slipped away into the grasses. I stood, uncertain as to what to do. It was at this moment that I heard someone behind me. It was a farmer, wading through the flowing water. He had a short reed skirt tied around his waist and carried a shoulder pole in one hand. Excuse me!
Yes. How may I help you?
Which is the best road to Matsumoto?
This one. We've had a lot of rain this year and the whole place has turned into a river, but this is the road.
Is it like this all the way?
Oh, no. Just what you see here. It's easy enough to cross. The water goes over to that grove there. On the other side, it's a normal road. You will get to Matsumoto with no problem.
Oh, thank you.
Believe it or not, this used to be a village. A flood came through 13 years ago and washed everything away. Many people died. Since you're a monk, sir, maybe you could pray for the dead as you walk through.
Of course. Oh, may I trouble you with one more question? Where does this smaller, steeper path lead to?
Oh, that's the old road people used to take 50 years ago. But you can't get through anymore. I wouldn't take that road if I were you. Even if the longer road is more tiring and makes you spend a night under the stars, it is the way you should go.
And so, I started down the road to Matsumoto. But then I stopped. What would become of the medicine peddler? I doubted the old road was nearly as bad as the farmer had described. But if it were true, it would be like letting the man die before my very eyes. Anyway, as one who had renounced the world, I had no business worrying about whether I could find an inn before nightfall or not. The medicine peddler would be the first to point that out. And so I decided to go and bring the medicine peddler back. It wasn't that I wanted to be a hero, but because the peddler had been such a disagreeable person, I felt I would be purposely letting him take the wrong road if I did nothing. In short, My conscience made me do it. I started up the overgrown path, and almost immediately the mountains began closing in until I was walled in on both sides, and the trail before me rose steeply. The further I climbed, the worse the trail became. I have to admit I was a little anxious, and was relieved when the path flattened out, but no sooner had it done so than I encountered something even more worrying. Snakes. They were buried in the grass, their heads on one side of the trail and their tails on the other, writhing across my path. The first time I encountered one, my breath rushed from my lungs and my knees gave way beneath me. I crumpled to the ground, my sedge hat still on my head and my walking staff still in my hand. I've always been terrified of snakes. Fortunately, that first time, the creature did me the favour of slowly slithering away. I got to my feet and continued ahead, only to find another snake sunning its belly, its tail and head also hidden in the grass either side of the path. I shouted and jumped back, and this one too slithered away. But the third snake I encountered was in no hurry to move. You should have seen how big it was. I guessed that if it started crawling, it would take a full 5 minutes before its tail finally appeared. That was when I panicked and started running off the path and deep into the long grass. As I did, I imagined the other half of the snake would rise up and coil itself around me. My legs lost their strength and I stumbled over a stone and fell. Apparently, that's when I twisted my knee. From there, I had to limp along the trail as best I could. I knew that if I collapsed on the road, I would be killed by the steamy heat. I wondered for the first time if this might not be the doing of the mountain spirits. I threw down my staff and placed both hands on the baking earth. I'm truly sorry to bother you, I fervently implored the gods, but please let me pass. I'll go quietly, I promise. I won't disturb your afternoon nap. Please, help me. Suddenly, I heard a terrifying sound. It must be a gigantic snake. I opened my eyes. Before me, the grass moved in a straight line that gradually approached the ravine to my left. The mountain began swaying back and forth. With my hair standing on end, I froze in my tracks as an icy coolness pierced my bones. It was then that I realized it was not a giant snake at all, but a mountain gale, and the sound I was hearing was the wind's echo. Had the mountain gods answered my prayer? The snakes were nowhere to be seen, and the heat dissipated. Courage returned to my heart and strength to my legs. I started my journey again. Before long, I learned why the wind had suddenly grown so chilly. Ahead of me was a deep forest. As I stepped into the cold, damp woods, it became dark. There was just enough light to allow me to tell the trees apart. Where the shafts of weak sunlight touched the earth, the mountain soil was pitch black. Occasionally my toes would get caught in the thread-like rivulets that had been formed by the water dripping from the leaves. These drops had travelled from branch to branch, originating high up in the forest canopy, and they were joined by the steadily falling evergreen leaves. Some leaves fell on my hat. It was my guess that they had taken decades to reach the forest floor. The leaves continued to fall on my head, and then something else landed on my hat. It was heavy. Perhaps it was the fruit of a tree. I shook my head once, twice, but it stuck to my hat. I reached up and touched it. Whatever it was cold and slimy. I took off my hat. To my horror, I saw some kind of sea slug lying there. I picked it up and tried to fling it away, but it only slid down and dangled from my fingers. When it finally fell off, I noticed bright red drops of blood dripping. Surprised, I brought my hand up to take a closer look and discovered another creature similar to the first, dangling from my elbow. As I stared at the creature in stupefied amazement, it sucked blood from my arm, swelling larger and larger from the tail up. Now I could see it for what it was, a blood-sucking leech. I gave my elbow a vigorous shake, but the creature was firmly attached and wouldn't let go. Even though it was the last thing I felt like doing, I grasped the leech with my other hand and pulled until it finally came off. I couldn't bear the thought of the leech touching me a moment longer and immediately flung it to the ground. Meanwhile, another had worked its way into my kimono and was hiding on my chest. I examined it with horror and discovered still another on my shoulder. I looked up into the trees and saw that the branches were dripping with them. And even as I stood there, a shower of thin black leeches began raining down on me. They covered my sandaled feet and piled themselves one on top of the other. They stuck to the sides of my feet and made my toes disappear beneath their disgusting mass. But my hands found them and plucked them off one after another. With arms flailing and legs marching, I made my way like a madman dancing through the forest. My sight grew dim, and I felt as though I was about to collapse and drown in this sea of horror. But at that moment, I caught a glimpse of the distant moon, and all at once I emerged from the leech-infested forest. When I saw the blue sky above me, I threw myself down on the road and rolled on the ground, crushing the creatures that still clung to me. I wondered what had become of the medicine peddler from Toyama. My guess was that he was in the swamp behind me, long since reduced to blood, his corpse nothing but a skeleton, lying in some dark spot in the woods with hundreds of the filthy, disgusting creatures still sucking on his bones. When I reached the bottom of the hill, I heard the sound of running water. There, in the middle of nowhere, I came upon a small earthen bridge. With the music of the water in my ears, I immediately thought of how wonderful it would feel to throw my bruised and bloody body head first into the river below and to soak it there. I crossed the bridge and made my way towards the water's edge, only to stumble upon a secluded mountain cottage. On a dilapidated veranda sat a man. What kind of man, I couldn't really tell. "Excuse me? Excuse me?" The man stared at me with small, expressionless eyes. His stomach protruded from his kimono like a huge, smooth drum, and his belly button stuck out like the stem of a pumpkin. "Excuse me? Sir?" He sat, unmoving. His legs were sprawled out as if he'd forgotten he had them. His mouth hung open, his nose was flat, and his forehead bulged. Was he a mute? An idiot? A young man about to turn into a frog? "Excuse me!" Still no answer. I couldn't anticipate what he might do, but I did feel that if I weren't careful, he might suddenly grab me and lick my face instead of answering my inquiries. Is anyone home? Hello?
Who is it?
A woman appeared from inside the house. A small, attractive woman with a clear voice and a gentle manner.
Honourable monk.
I'm on my way to Matsumoto. Can you tell me how far it is to the next inn?
Oh, I'm afraid you still have 19 miles or more to go.
Then perhaps you might know of a place nearby where I could stay the night?
I'm afraid I don't.
I see. May I ask if you have a shed or the corner of a horse stall where I could rest? I am very weary.
You can stay here tonight. We have just enough rice. Please, won't you come in?
Thank you.
It must have been hard travelling on a day like this. Should I get you some water so you can wash?
No, that won't be necessary. I shall wash in the stream, thank you.
Then let me show you where it is. I have to wash the rice anyway. Please, follow me.
No sooner had we gone a few paces than an old man came out of the bushes.
Well, if it isn't a monk. Where are you two going?
Down to the water.
Don't go falling in with a young monk now. I'll be on the lookout here.
Maybe I should go by myself.
Don't pay any attention to me, you two go. I'll stay here and look after your husband.
I looked in surprise from the idiot man to the woman. Husband?
Come on, good monk. Follow me.
To the left was a horse stable. I could hear the sound of a horse kicking at the walls. She turned away and quickly lifted the hem of her kimono. I could see her white ankles in the darkness. As she walked ahead, they disappeared into the grass like the frost at dawn. We were making good progress down the hill when a toad sluggishly emerged from a clump of grass to the side of the path.
Disgusting. Can't you see I have a guest? Let go of my feet. Back to your bugs. Go away. Come right along. Don't pay attention to him. We're nearly there.
She was waiting for me by the stream. As I approached it, the flowing water was surprisingly quiet, and its beauty was that of jewels broken from their string and being washed away.
We're lucky the water's high today. We can bathe up here without going down to the main river.
What a beautiful stream!
It is. The river begins at a waterfall. People who travel through these mountains say they can hear a sound like the wind blowing. I don't suppose you heard something along the way?
Yes, but I thought it was the wind in the trees.
That's what everyone thinks. But 7 miles away, there's a large waterfall. People say it's the largest in Japan. This river flows down from there.
Before I realized it, the woman had finished washing the rice. As she stood and arched her back, I caught a glimpse of the outlines of her breasts. She gazed dreamily at the mountain. I stooped over and began washing my arms.
If you insist on such good manners, your robes will get wet. Why not take them off? I'll scrub your back for you.
I don't think that would...
Why not? Look how your sleeve is getting in the water.
She suddenly reached from behind and put her hand on my sash. I struggled, but seconds later I was completely naked. My master was a strict man, and as one whose calling it is to recite the Holy Sutras, I had never taken off my clothes, not even the sleeves of my robes. But now I was standing naked in front of this woman, feeling like a snail without a shell.
Now, hold still. Let me wash you.
She poured water over my body and stroked my shoulders, back, sides, and buttocks. And as the pain from my wounds ebbed away, I gradually lost my senses, as if the woman's body, so close to mine, had enveloped me in the petals of its blossom. As she rubbed my back, I could hear her trying to stifle the sounds of her breathing. I knew I should ask her to stop, but I became lost in the bliss of the moment. It was like a dream, I felt as if I were being softly enveloped in that warm flower with its strange, wonderful fragrance. My feet, my legs, my hands, my shoulders, my neck, all the way up to my head.
Can you tell how hot I am? Look at me. I'm burning.
I suddenly noticed that she had taken off her clothes. When, I don't know. But there she was, her body shining like soft silk.
When it gets hot like this, I come to the river 2 or 3 times a day. If I didn't have this water, I don't know what I would do.
Her figure was voluptuous and full. She raised one hand to hold back her hair and wiped her body with the other.
I should really be more careful. What if I fell into the river? What would the people downstream think?
That you were a white peach blossom. What is that?
Bats. Stop that! Can't you see I have a guest?
Is something wrong?
No, nothing.
Just then a small grey monkey came running toward us. Before I could shout out, it jumped from the cliff, sailed through the air and landed on her back.
Ah, beast! Can't you see my guest?
As the animal peered up at her, she struck it squarely on the head. The monkey jumped backward into the air and dangled by its long arm from the branch where she had hung my clothes. Then it did a somersault and scampered up the tree.
I'm sorry. You must think it odd. There is nothing I can do about it. Perhaps we should go back.
Yes, of course. We started to climb once more. It was a steep path, and my legs were tired. But the woman took my hand, and suddenly I felt lighter, and before I knew it, we were back at the cottage. The idiot was sitting in the same place as before. Next to him sat the old man, laughing quietly to himself.
I see the good brother has come back in his original form.
What are you talking about?
Nothing. Getting dark. I better get the horse and be on my way. Hey, stop that!
Where are you taking that horse?
To auction. Come on, move, you dumb animal.
The horse refused to move. Instead, it pointed its muzzle in my direction and looked straight at me.
Damn animal. Hey, now!
Suddenly, the horse raised both its front hooves into the air, sending the old man tumbling to the ground and sending a cloud of dust into the moonlit sky.
What now?
It's not you. It's the monk. This horse has had its eye on him from the start. They probably knew each other in a former life. Now the beast wants the holy man to pray for its soul.
Sir, did you happen to meet anyone on your way here?
Yes, just before I reached Tsuji. I did meet a medicine peddler from Toyama. He started out on the same trail, a little ahead of me.
I see.
Perhaps he came by this way.
Perhaps.
I must go. It's almost dark.
Then I suppose I don't have much of a choice.
To my amazement, the woman untied her sash. She dropped it in the lap of the idiot, and he held it tenderly to his face. Then she walked over to the horse. She stood on tiptoe, raised her hand in the air, and stroked the horse's mane 2 or 3 times. Then she stepped directly in front of the horse's huge muzzle and fixed her eyes on the animal. Suddenly, I found myself wondering if she were a god, or maybe a demon. For at that moment, it was as if all the mountains that surrounded us suddenly looked our way and bent over to stare at this woman in the moonlight. I felt myself being engulfed in a warm, moist wind as the woman slipped her kimono off her shoulders and stood naked, without so much as the mountain mist to clothe her. The horse began to tremble. It lowered its head to the ground, and blowing froth from its mouth bent its front legs, as if paying obeisance to her beauty. While the horse was still in its trance, the old man pulled on the halter and led the horse away, moving quietly down the mountain trail and into the darkness. Later, after a dinner of pickled vegetables, marinated ginger, seaweed, and miso soup, the woman turned to me and smiled.
You must be tired. Shall I make up your bed?
No, I'm not the least bit sleepy. Washing in the river seems to have revived me completely.
It is the water that has healed your wounds. Whenever I'm worn out and feel withered and dry, all I have to do is go to the water, and I feel refreshed again.
The idiot stared at the woman as she spoke. She smiled kindly back at him.
But he has a disease that neither the doctors nor the river can heal. The one thing he can do is sing. Why don't you sing for our guest?
The idiot opened his eyes wider and looked at me and then back to the woman.
Yes, sing. We are listening.
Even the summers are cold.
How strange it was. The idiot's voice was nothing like you might expect. I listened with my head bowed. I was so moved that tears came to my eyes.
Is something wrong, honourable monk?
A thousand thoughts were in my head. My feelings were in turmoil. This woman, this voluptuous and alluring beauty, deserved to be adorned with silver and jade pins for her hair, with gossamer gowns as sheer as butterfly wings and pearl-sewn shoes. But here she was, living in poverty with an idiot husband.
You're very kind,
said the woman with a bow, as though she had read every single one of my thoughts, and she gazed at me with a look in her eyes that I cannot begin to describe.
Are you ready to retire?
Yes, thank you.
I shall make up your bed.
The woman rose quickly, and her black hair, which had been twisted into a bun, fell down over the nape of her neck. I watched her as she prepared a bed for me, and then she withdrew with her idiot husband into an inner room. The moonlight poured into the cottage through the windows and open door. Though there was silence, I could not sleep. And then, amid the silence, I heard something else. Or I felt something else. I sensed a presence. It came closer. Then it seemed to be standing right next to me. A cloud moved across the moon. I stared and stared into the darkness. A sheep! It was just a stray sheep. But then I heard another noise. And another. And another. And another. And then a huge beast, as big as a hill, came so close I felt as though I were being crushed by it. Now all kinds of creatures were circling and milling around the house. Altogether there must have been 20 or 30 of them, snorting, beating their wings, some of them hissing. As the clouds slid away from the moon, I could see the silhouettes of their ghastly figures cavorting and dancing in front of the house.
We have a guest tonight. I said we have a guest.
Beasts outside stirred, and the entire cottage began to shake back and forth. Frightened out of my senses, I began reciting a Quran. Suddenly everything became still. Silence returned. The beasts had gone. The next morning we said goodbye in the dawning light, and I was filled with great sadness. As I walked away from her, no snakes spanned my path, and I encountered no leech-filled forests. Still, though the way might continue to be hard, bringing tribulation to my body and soul, I realized that my pilgrimage was senseless. My dreams of someday donning a purple surplice and living in a fine monastery meant nothing to me, and to be called a living Buddha by others, and to be thronged with crowds of worshippers, could only turn my stomach with the stench of humanity. Instead, a single idea dominated my thoughts. Though we would never walk hand in hand as man and wife, I kept thinking I could go back to the young woman. I could be her companion, there to comfort her morning and night. She would no longer have to be lonely. I would prepare the firewood, and she would do the cooking. I would gather nuts, and she would shell them. We would work together. I on the veranda, and she inside, talking to each other, laughing together. The two of us would go to the river. She would take off her clothes and stand beside me, her breath upon my back. She would envelop me in the warm, delicate fragrance of her petals. For that, I would sacrifice everything. I made up my mind to go back to her. But just as I stood and turned to retrace my steps, I heard a voice.
Honourable monk.
I had been caught at my weakest moment. Feeling small and ashamed, I looked up to see the old man I had met at the woman's cottage.
What are you doing?
Unable to think of a word to say, I could only look at the man while he stared into my eyes.
I see you are thinking about that woman. Your earthly passions are stirred, aren't they? Don't try to hide it. I may be a bleary-eyed old man, but I can still tell black from white. You want to gather firewood and haul water for the woman, don't you? I'm afraid your lustful nature's been awakened, brother. Of course you don't like to call it lust. You'd rather call it mercy or sympathy. I know you're thinking of hurrying back to the mountains, but you'd better think twice.
Why do you say that?
You've been lucky enough as it is. She must have felt something special for you, otherwise you wouldn't be here. So curb your wayward thoughts, good monk, and leave here as quickly as you can.
But I can't.
Yes, you can, you must. She's a witch, and she was born with a lustful nature. She likes young men best of all. But as soon as she gets tired of you, a tail will sprout, your ears will wiggle, your legs will grow longer, and suddenly you'll be changed into something else. With a puff of her breath, she can turn a lost traveller into the animal of her choice.
What do you mean? What are you saying?
Anyone normal wouldn't still be human after an encounter with her. Take your pick. Cow, horse, monkey, toad, bat. You're lucky you're not going to be flying or hopping around for the rest of your life. When you came up from the river and hadn't been turned into some other animal, I couldn't believe my eyes. It must have been your faith that saved you.
My faith? I think not.
Believe me, it is true. Though the same cannot be said of the medicine peddler from Toyama. The woman had that lecturer turned into a horse long before you showed up. I took him to the auction and cashed him in.
I could not speak. I was struck dumb. Like an animal. The old man smiled kindly at me and drew my attention to the creatures I had seen around the cottage. The monkey, the toad, the bats, rabbits, and snakes. All of them were men who had bathed in the river with her.
Since the flood, the river has become an enchanted stream that both seduces men and restores her beauty. Yes, even a witch pays a price for casting spells. Her hair gets tangled, her skin becomes pale, she turns haggard and thin. But then she bathes in the river and is restored to the way she was. That's how her youthful beauty gets replenished. She says,
Come.
And the fish swim to her. She looks at a tree and its fruit falls into her palm. If she holds her sleeves up, it starts to rain. If she raises her eyebrows, the wind blows. So, turn again, good monk, and continue with your pilgrimage.
And with that, the old man continued on his way back up into the mountains. Standing there like a cast-off shell, I returned to my senses, Filled with gratitude for the old man, I took up my walking staff, adjusted my sedge hat, and ran down the trail. Behind me, the rain started to fall in the mountains, and soon I could hear the rolling echoes of clapping thunder. I didn't look back. I continued running, eager to get home once more.
The monk stopped speaking.
That is a most interesting tale,
said the wanderer.
I hope I have not shocked you.
Not in the slightest.
Sir, are you quite all right? You are shivering.
Come near to the fire. Please. Warm yourself. Are you unwell?
I'm quite well, thank you. I enjoyed your tale.
I hope it did not upset you.
It did not. It was most enlightening. I feel fortunate to have heard it. Indeed, I feel fortunate to be here.
What makes you say that? Are you in some kind of danger?
I am. I was. The truth is, that is not the first story I have been told today. I heard another this very evening. It is because of that story that I am in such a hurry to get home. It is because of that story that I am here.
Go on.
As I mentioned, I too set out on a journey this very day. And I too was eager to get to my destination. But I was not visiting a temple. I was visiting a woman. A woman who had been forbidden to see me. As I hurried along, rushing through the silence, I realized I was not alone. From the foot of the hill I had seen them creeping down toward me from Yotsuya, appearing and disappearing, floating up and falling back again in the mist that huddled in motionless spirals halfway up the slope.
One moment. You, sir.
At the voice, a chill shot down my back.
Sir, one moment, please.
I turned to see 3 blind ones, in single file. In the center was a woman, perhaps in her middle years, white-throated, thick-haired, her shoulders thin and slight. The long sleeves falling down from her folded arms were dark, and their trailing edges gave way to a like darkness in the obi. The man in front wore a limp, loose garment, grey, almost like the night mist itself spun and woven into cloth. The other man clung to the woman as if he meant to hide in the shadow of her hair. Are you speaking to me?
I am speaking to you.
Coming toward me in the mist, they seemed like grave markers.
I should like to know where you are going.
Where?
It makes no difference. Does it matter where I'm going?
It does. I am sorry, sir, but it does.
And why?
It is late.
The older man in front turned slowly to face the bank above the road. The woman seemed to sink into the earth as she sat down disconsolately on her heels. The tip of her staff was white against her dark hair. Seeing that the 3 meant to stay, I resigned myself to being delayed. Banks rose on both sides like mountain slopes. Trees sent up their skeleton forms above. Here and there the mist clung to the branches like dirty moonlight. There were no stars. The only sound was the pounding in my chest. Is it wrong to be so late?
It is wrong. Very wrong indeed.
I am not to go on then. Perhaps the oracle could tell me why.
You will thank me for it by and by.
And what if I have to go? What if my father is dying or a friend is ill? How can you know? You speak as though I were doing something wrong.
I know where you are going. And my friend here says I must speak. You're going to meet a woman, are you not?
And what of it?
She has duties and ties. There are obstacles and complications. But you have pushed and slashed and broken down fences and walls. You have pressed her with an urgency that would tear her very breast open, and she will meet you at the risk of her life. This is the woman you are on your way to meet.
How could you know such things?
I knew from your footsteps as you passed us. I knew a man rushing along out of his senses. It is clear, even to a blind man, as clear as this hand itself.
The man brought his hand up to his face. I could see in the dim light that the other 2 were nodding, deeply, as if on a signal.
Along this bank where we are gathered, there is a row of lanterns. How many of them are lighted and how many are dark? Tell me, please.
The lamps were white and cold as frost needles. The glass chambers, like windows in the face of the cliff, were dark as far as my eye reached. They drank at the mist and sucked it in, and at intervals spewed out an ashen breath.
They will all be out.
They are all out.
They will all be out. And now you will see that one lamp up the hill from here is still burning. You see it? How many lamps away is it?
I see it, but I can't tell you how many lamps away it is.
The lamp will be the 5th up the hill from you. Count them for yourself. 1.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is the 5th.
As I said.
And what does it mean?
You see us and this bank and these dark lamps all because of that one light. But for it, you would not see me if I were to pinch your nose.
I'm sure you're right.
And what can you see under the 5th lamp? The lamp that is burning.
What can I see?
Look carefully.
I see nothing.
Nothing?
Not a thing.
That is not as it should be. If you will but go up and look, you will see. It is for that I have stopped you. Listen, if you will.
He twisted and bent forward a little, and rattled his staff in the stones that lay at the base of a lantern. The sound was drunk up in the mist.
Let me make the point clear. The light under which we stand is the 19th in the row from the bottom of the hill. Many years ago, on a different night indeed, but in this same December, at this same hour, this happened to me too. I was not then the blind man you see now. I was like you. I was going to meet a woman, as you are. I was climbing this hill that you climb, but I passed only one blind man. This gentleman you see here.
As he spoke, the older man turned to listen. And the woman, still sitting on her heels, she turned to hear the story too.
The man's voice was firm. He called me from behind as I called you, and at the 19th lamp, the 5th below the lighted lamp, he said to me what I have said to you. I have but repeated it. And why should I not go to meet the woman? I retorted, as you did. He answered,
There is a strange creature under the 5th lamp ahead. The lamp that is still lighted. A demon that takes the shadow of men, snatches them, devours them. He sucks the shadow and the man grows thin, licks the shadow and the man languishes, tramps on the shadow and the man is ill, snuffs it quite away, and the man dies. The demon is always about, in the sunlight and the moonlight, to suck, to lick, to trample, and in time the man dies. Terrible though that is, it is more terrible when under just such a light as we stand now, he opens his mouth and swallows the shadow. That is all. The man dies. You are not to pass by here again.
That is what he said. But I was young and hot-headed. What was he talking about? I retorted. In the first place, what sort of monster was it?
Very well, I shall tell you. It is like a lizard.
A lizard? Well, let the thing have my shadow, I answered, and I climbed to that 5th light, kicking up the gravel as I went. I found nothing there, but my friend, scraping at the gravel with his staff, sprang up the hill after me.
Have you gone mad? You're too brave for your own good. If you do not fear for yourself, then think of her.
Who?
He has long been after the shadow of the woman you are going to meet. I tell her, through you, to be forever careful, not for a moment to be off her guard.
How can you know this? How can you know the woman I am going to meet?
Oh, but I do know her.
He described everything to me. The rich swell of the neck and shoulders, even the mole on the white skin at the base of her left breast.
It will be this woman you are going to see.
That is what he said.
The demon is after the woman. He's going to lick her shadow, to suck at it, to take it, to trample it, to devour it. Tell her, if you please, that she is to be careful.
But I was not listening. I flew off in a dark cloud. I was not to be stopped by iron gate or stone door. I went to meet her, and I told her.
I began trembling. I realized as he spoke that the woman sitting before me, the woman hidden by mist and shadows and sorrow, was the same woman the blind man described to me.
I have seen a demon that will take your shadow, will suck at your shadow, will lick at your shadow. I have seen it in the light of the lantern. It will be after you day and night. Day and night. That, sir, is what I said. Into the head of this unhappy woman, I drove my words as with a hammer. In my anger that she must have shown herself naked to another, I showed her no mercy. When she asked me who I had met, who had said such things, I told her to look to her own conscience, and I left her, sobbing and alone. I did not see the woman again for many months. Nobody saw her. She had developed a strange longing to be hidden. She came to hate the light of the sun. Whether it was night or day, she closed the doors and the shutters and lay hidden between 2 and 3 screens. One day I forced my way through and saw her. Her very kimono seemed mouldering and musty, and she only knelt, looking at the floor, so slight and wraith-like that it seemed she must quite disappear. I raised her face. The eyes were destroyed. Both her eyes. What has happened to you?
I could not take my eyes from my shadow. If I went into the kitchen, it was on the window. If I went to the veranda, it was on the doorstep or behind me on the door. The wall, the screen, and wherever the shadow was, there was the demon. To suck at it, to lick, trample, smother. In the light of the moon, the light of the sun, the light of the lamp, the faint light of the snow, or the trees in blossom, there was always that shadow. And with the shadow, revulsion, terror, loathing. In the alcove, on the lintel, on the ceiling, on the doorframe, the floor. Now here, now there. The shape of a lizard, weirdly white, the body long, the legs writhing, now clinging, now curling into a ball, now crawling along, stretched out to its full length. I would scream when I saw it. Ah! And it would flit away. How quickly. But a moment later, it would come creeping back. I tried desperately not to see, but I saw because I had eyes. Lying back on my pillow, my eyes wide open, I dropped potion into them and was blind.
I took her hand, and for the first time confessed that I had seen no demon who eats shadows, but that I had heard the story from a certain blind man halfway up the hill. I described his appearance, and the woman gasped, as though she saw once more, and she began weeping bitterly. Rejected by her, frustrated in his love for her, the blind man had put his curse on her. It was the blind man himself who clung to the woman like her very shadow. It was the blind man himself who might have been taken for a lizard in the light of the lantern. It was he who hovered about the back fence, the well, the hedge, face livid, eyes red, lips pale and tight, waiting for the woman to come in or go out. I could not bear to look upon the face I loved so destroyed. Blinded by my anger and jealousy, I had blinded the woman I loved. I clutched at the flesh of my face and wept tears of anger, sorrow, and finally of pity. I determined that I would be with her. And with this hand, I drove a needle into both my eyes. A bond from one life lasts through 3. Enlightenment has come to us, and penitence, and release from the appetites of the world. We take our staffs, that blind man with us, and ashamed of the daylight, go out into the night. I have nothing more to say. If you will, I shall leave you.
Forlorn and graceful, the woman rose to her feet, her weeping muffled by the mist. Led by the older blind man, the 3 of them groped their way into the dark. 3 staffs, 3 phantoms in the fading light. I needed no second thoughts. I turned my back on the path I had been walking, on the woman and the lanterns and the shadows, and I hastily retraced my steps, as eager now to get home as I'd been to leave at the beginning of my journey. And that is why I am here.
Do not fear. Your heart is home. Your body will soon follow.
I am sure you disapprove of my actions and my reasons, but I am now determined to do what is right.
Well spoken.
Perhaps the snow has stopped. Perhaps there is still time to get home. I'm weary, I must rest.
Then you must sleep here.
And dream of home. In our dreams, we can have all that we long for.
I beg your pardon?
In a nap at midday, I met my beloved. Then did I begin to believe in the things we call dreams. Someone died because of that poem.
What do you mean? How can that be?
It happened some years ago. I was travelling to the shrine of Kanoya Canon, just as you are, honourable monk. But no snow fell then. It was summer. I approached the edge of the town and passed by a stone wall next to a 2-story house. I stopped to get my bearings. The mountains to the right were pure black, like the wings of huge hawks. The foothills stretched down from the peaks, encroaching on the fields of rice. Far up one of these valleys, in the darkness, sat a simple thatched roof, and a window looked like the mountain's open eye, as if a giant toad had crawled up from the dawning sea and had made this his hiding place for the sunlit hours. Soon, I found a stone stairway that led to the temple. The top of the stairs was hidden by the treetops, and as I climbed, I caught glimpses of the temple through the leaves, as it hovered above me like a cloud in the sky. In its day, the temple building must have been marvellous to behold. But now, the golden dragons had a forlorn look. The midday moonlight fell upon the temple's fraying thatched roof, leaking down in butterfly patterns upon the Chinese-style doors. I entered the dark interior of the hall. To the side of the small shrine, white lotus blossoms stood with their faces held high. I felt as though I were in a dream, as I gazed through the gloom at the rounded pillars, the pedestals, the panel doors and the crossbeams, all of them covered with small pieces of paper that named the various pilgrims who had come to the temple. One read,
Fishmonger Massa.
There was
Yasu the roofer, Tetsu the carpenter.
Many were from places far away.
Goldsmith Sakan.
Suo, Mino, Noto, Kumamoto and Higo, all left behind by unseen visitors who had travelled rainy nights on rushed-roof boats and had found a home for their dreams here. Smiling, I inspected them one at a time, and then I spotted it, a piece of tissue paper pasted to a huge cracked pillar. On it was a poem written in a woman's flowing hand.
In a nap
At midday, I met my beloved. Then did I begin to believe in the things we call dreams. It was gently and beautifully written, and at the bottom was a name. Tamawaki Mio.
But can it really be you?
I had not seen the priest standing beside me. I turned and bowed.
Oh, my apologies. I briefly mistook you for someone else.
Sorry to disappoint you.
Not at all. You're most welcome. Please, come with me.
The priest opened a door. A 4-mat room was situated on the other side of its thick, worm-eaten threshold. The priest entered. I followed and sat down with him on a tatami mat.
Please, make yourself comfortable.
Thank you. Well, it's a very impressive temple you have here. You must get a lot of visitors.
I wish I could say we did, but these days we don't get many. You saw how I came hurrying out when I saw you. Yes, very few young people come now. Salvation is difficult for people who've been to college. They think they don't need canon. They think they can gain enlightenment on their own. If they do come, they look on the idols as works of art rather than anything else.
Well, if a statue is well made, the world thinks it's an object of art, a piece of sculpture, but without images, what would we have to believe in? Your mistake, sir, is in calling them idols. They have names, every one of them. Shaka, Monju, Fugan, Seshi, Canon.
Yes, they all have names.
Well, it's the same with people. If they're strangers, they mean nothing to us. But with a name, a person becomes father, mother, brother, sister. Idols are no different.
Well said. Most interesting.
You could say a carved figure is nothing but wood or metal or earth decorated with gold, silver, and gems to add colour. But what about people? Skin, blood, muscle, organs. Join them together, add some clothes, and there you have it. Never forget, sir, that even the most beautiful woman is nothing more than this.
Well, maybe that is so.
So to those who say they don't need idols, I have to ask, is it enough to yearn for your beloved? To love and to pine for someone without ever thinking you'll be together someday? Is it all right never to see her? And if you do see her, then wouldn't you want to speak to her? And if you speak to her, then wouldn't you want to touch her skin? And if you touch her skin, wouldn't you want to hold her?
In a nap at midday, I met my beloved. Then did I begin to believe in the things we call dreams.
The poem.
And you saw it?
Yes.
I know who wrote it.
Well, it was Ono no Kamachi, was it not?
Well, originally, yes, but the woman who put it up there was just as beautiful as Kamachi.
You mean the Tamawaki lady?
Yes. Tamawaki's wife. Yes, she is a beautiful woman, and it is a beautiful poem. And yet, a man died because of that poem.
But how? And who was he?
He was a man like you. He was the man I mistook you for.
Oh. Well, I've always wanted to die of love. Heaven knows a man doesn't get many chances these days to go down in battle. So if I'm going to die in bed, let it be from love.
Well, be careful. For if you meet her, your dream may come true.
So she's still alive?
Oh, yes, she lives right here.
In Kanoya?
Sir, on your way here today, you must have passed right by her house, the 2-story house.
Yes, I did. It was the first thing I saw. So tell me, what happened to the gentleman?
It began one evening, the hottest time of the year. He had returned from a walk along the beach.
My friend, go down to the shore and take a look. I met the most beautiful woman.
Is that so? Where?
By the bay, where you can see Mount Fuji in the distance. I was on the sandy road by the bridge.
And what happened?
Oh, the water was shiny as glass. And between the blue of the water and the white of the mountains, there appeared the pink of a woman's dress, like a faint rainbow.
It must be Tamawaki's wife that you speak of, for that is where she lives.
Well, whoever she is truly extraordinary. Her features are delicate, her complexion pale, and her lips are very red. As we passed each other, she glanced up. Her eyelashes were dark. It was as if the great Seshu had dipped his brush into Murasaki Shibiku's inkwell. A portrait of the subtlest shading, lovelier than words can express.
That was all that happened that first night. The next day he went out for a walk and returned at about the same time.
I saw her again. This time her hair was done up in a full flower moon coiffure. As she passed me, I sat down on the bridge railing. I was so struck by her beauty, I thought I was going to fall over. I knew that there was a river below, and if I fell in, I was a dead man. I don't swim, you see.
They continued to meet, the next night and the next.
I saw her face in the dim moonlight. It was she, I'm sure. But this time she was accompanied by 5 men, noisily hurrying toward the beach, surrounded by them. Silhouetted against the sunset and the steadily growing waves, she seemed dismal and desolate. And the sadness of it made me want to risk my very life for her salvation.
What happened next?
Next? Well, his face got thinner, his eyes grew sunken, he turned pale. He paced the floor day and night, never sleeping. Then, one evening, he heard the sound of music. He got up and stood in a dream, staring out across the burning clouds on the ocean's horizon. He followed the music. I waited for him to return, but he didn't. Not that evening, not until the next day. And then he told me all that had happened.
I followed the music between the 2 cliffs that rise on both sides to make a tunnel to the sky. I continued through a grove of trees and came out at the back of the mountain. I passed through the grass growing on both sides, and after continuing for a little over a mile, I came to a path leading down into the valley. The path was so steep I had to dig my toes in and crawl down backwards. But I couldn't turn back. I was drawn along by the sound of music, close enough to reach out and touch. The music told me that if I could get past just one more clump of grass or one more tree, I would be able to tell where the sounds were coming from. And I advanced deeper and deeper into the woods. The trail began getting steeper and steeper until I found myself climbing into the darkness, tugging at the grass, pulling myself up to a flat area on top of a hill. It seemed as though the place had been levelled for some reason. Or maybe it was a graveyard. It was too dark to tell. Where was the moon? Hidden behind the clouds? Fallen into the sea? The entire area was covered with haze. Far in the distance I saw colour, as if someone had started a bonfire below. Suddenly the music started again, much closer this time. And then I saw it. What a procession! There it was, stretching all the way back toward the village at the bottom of the valley. The lights gradually brighter down the hill where they reached a vivid glow. The entire procession was headed straight toward the spot where I was standing. And then...
What?
A curtain opened.
A curtain?
That's right. I could see it through the haze. Stretched out on the hillside across the way, there was a tomb carved in the hillside. And as the curtain opened, I could see a stage and a shallow cavity carved straight back into the hill. I felt a chill run through my body. 2 strands of white mist drifted toward the opening, then disappeared like smoke curling up in a whirlwind. Then I noticed a number of crudely carved caves, like blackened windows or boxes, 40 or 50 in number, all in a row, and each one containing the figure of a woman. Some were sitting, some were upright, others were posed informally with one knee to the ground. I glanced at them once, and suddenly they disappeared into the distance, becoming smaller and smaller until their faces were lilies blossoming in the valley. I shuddered. But before I could run away, I saw a person emerge from one of the caves. It was a tiny figure of a woman who walked towards me without making a sound. By the time she finally reached the stage, she had grown to regular height. She looked back over her sloping shoulders and stared seductively at me. Oh, what an exquisite sight.
Tamawaki Mio.
Yes. I stood transfixed. Then someone, or something, stepped forward, brushing my back as it passed. But all I could see was a black shadow. Is someone else here? I thought. But how could they be? And yet I saw the shadow run onto the stage towards Tamawaki Mio and throw himself at her feet. I peered at the shadow. And finally the shadow looked up and stared straight at me, and I saw that the face of the shadow was...
Was what?
Was my own face. My flesh was leaping and my blood on fire, and yet my heart was filled with ice. My body soaked with cold sweat. I saw myself looking rapturously at Tamawaki Mio, but she kept her head bowed. Then slowly she raised her head, and as she did so, the waves roared. The wind gusted, sweeping the earth and gouging the sky. The torchlight down the valley vanished completely, leaving a bright, delicate pink. A smile formed on Tamawaki Mio's lips as she moved towards me on the stage. She got closer and closer. She was almost touching me. Her black hair flowed down as she looked up, and the white of her bosom appeared. As she finally embraced me, I fell back, and the stage slipped down and down and down into the earth. Ah!
When the gentleman came to, he was still standing in the same place. His body was covered with cuts and drenched with dew. He managed to stagger back here, and the next day he slept straight through. In the afternoon, when Tamawaki's wife came to the temple with 2 of her young women, I did what I could to keep the gentleman from finding out she was here. Believe me, sir, it was hot, but I kept these doors shut tight.
And that was when the poem appeared?
Yes. For the next 2 or 3 days, the gentleman secluded himself, bound by his own terror, shut away from the world of delusion. I, of course, cared for him constantly. But when I took my eyes off him for one brief moment, he disappeared, and he made his way straight to the Snake Cavern.
The Snake Cavern?
The Snake Cavern is on the other side of this mountain, near where he had been that fateful night. It's an ancient cave filled with water. If you shout into the hole, it echoes back with a bottomless sound stretching for 20 miles into the heart of the range. They say the water is connected with the ocean, but who really knows? The workers in the rice paddies saw him enter the Snake Cavern, and he never returned.
The priest turned his eyes to the sea and sighed. Down the mountain, the rumbling of a storm could be heard. It seemed to be coming from the direction of the 2-story house. It approached only as sound, dressed in robes and travelling up the path and across the grass. The rain soon stopped and left a misty brocade of butterflies and flowers on the velvet moss of the garden. I paid my respects and took my leave. Farewell.
Goodbye, good friend.
As I walked back through the village, I could hear the beating of drums. It was getting louder. The din reverberated in my chest. As I passed the 2-story house, something caught my eye. Toppled onto the grass, a parasol glinted in the sunlight and glowed, like the golden wings of insects gathered around a purple aster. From beneath the parasol's shadow, a woman's supple train stretched over the embankment. Its waving lines of silk crepe flowed in soft curls down to a pair of ankles. It was Tamawaki's wife. Heeding the warning of the priest, I tried to pass her, but felt myself slow to a halt. Feeling my chest tremble, I came to a standstill.
My face was burning as if I had drunk too much wine. Oh, dear God. She actually spoke to me as I tried to step by.
Pardon me?
Did you say something? I looked at her and saw a face brightened by the parasol's purple-tinted sunlight. A violet lunar brilliance on a folding screen. Her locks like clouds. Her hairpin like a star. Lips a red blossom. The corners of her eyes like hollyhocks.
Pardon me?
I looked for a path to escape.
I was calling to you.
What is it? What do you want?
Are you leaving so soon?
But how do you know me? How do you know who I am? How do you know when I arrived?
I saw you from the second floor when you passed by the stone wall this morning. I saw you and then I felt unwell.
Risking everything, I drew a step closer and sat down on the grassy embankment. But because I had been staring into the face of this demon, I lost my balance and slipped and fell to the ground.
Careful, you'll hurt yourself.
I'm fine.
Your stockings are all covered with mud. Why don't you take them off and let me have them clean?
Canon, goddess of mercy. I prayed silently for help.
I'm sorry. I must apologize. I shouldn't have said what I said. I didn't mean to say I began feeling unwell because I saw you. Even if that were true, how could I say such a thing? I saw you, and then I started to feel unwell.
She seemed worried and weighed down with sadness, like the blind when they sigh.
Please, I know you understand what I'm trying to say.
I don't believe that I do. She spread her sleeves out on the embankment. She parted the green spring grass with her hand. She smiled as if enraptured. Her mouth was so seductive. It seemed as though her teeth had been dyed black.
Let's suppose there's someone I dream about all the time. Someone I long for. Can you imagine that?
Yes.
Well, there is someone and we can't be together. But I stay awake at night thinking of him. I'm distracted because of him. I even wonder if I'm not losing my mind. And if I can't be with him, then what about someone who looks like him? Suppose I heard that such a person had come from Tokyo, but that I hadn't had the chance to meet him yet. What would you think?
I don't know what to think.
The ocean is blue wine, and the sky is like a green oil, viscous. No clouds, but still murky and full of dreams. The mountains are stuffed like velvet pillows. The heat waves shimmer and sparkle. The larks are singing. In some faraway vale, the nightingale is calling. Isn't life a pleasure? It has all it needs, and not a complaint to make. On a bright sunny afternoon like this, you close your eyes, and right away you're dreaming.
Yes. Dreaming.
What are you feeling? Are you filled with joy? Do you feel alive?
Do you?
I feel the way I felt when I saw you for the first time. I feel... It's impossible to tell you how I feel. It's like talking about a dream. This quiet sadness. Can't you feel it? It's like seeing the most vivid part of a dream, don't you think?
A dream? Yes.
Invited by a warm, gentle wind, the soul becomes a dandelion blossom that suddenly turns into cotton and blows away. It's the feeling of fading into death after seeing paradise with your own eyes.
Paradise.
Are you all right?
I feel very tired.
Why don't you lie down?
Maybe I will.
Were you dreaming about something?
I don't know.
Perhaps you should sleep.
Yes. A nap. A nap at midday. If you took a nap feeling like this, I wonder what kind of dreams you dream.
I'd see you. Like this. I'd see us just as we are.
No. You dream of that man you love. The one you wanted to meet, but couldn't.
Yes, the one who looks like you. Tell me, do you really think there's such a thing as life after death? It wouldn't matter if it were heaven or hell. If the person you love is there, you'd go as quickly as you could. It's too horrible to think that everything just ends when you die. If that's the way it is, it's probably better to live in agony, to be troubled and to waste away, never forgetting until the very end.
In the distance, at a place where a low bank of mist seemed to be welling from the ground, came the eerie echoes of flutes and drums. All at once the music was upon us, and showing here and there in rich flashes of colour, like a camellia blossom ablaze as it falls, hiding within the leaves along the rape field, emerging lightning quick above the pure yellow of blossoms. Two dancers appeared, two red heads, two lion heads, one high, another low, one leading, another following, scraping the flowers, brushing the trees, then gradually coming to the edge of the green wheat that stretched out from where we sat. Lion dancers. The dust, kicked up by their muddy straw sandals, seemed to float over the wheat field as they danced. The drumming stopped as they quickly approached. They stopped in front of us and bowed. The youngest was about 8, and the oldest 13 or 14.
You boys, wait just a minute. I want to give you a little something.
She quickly wrote a note in her book, ripped out the page and handed it to the older boy.
Here, take this over to that house on the corner, the one with 2 stories. Go and get your money.
He held the stick for his drum in one hand. With the other, he slowly reached out, then quickly grabbed the piece of paper, gave her a bow and scampered off.
And you, come here. How old are you?
8.
Don't you have a mother?
Line dancers don't have mothers.
Everyone has a mother. Even if you don't know about her, she will know about you.
Her white hand pulled him toward her. He fell back into her arms, his sandals rising toward the sky.
See? This boy could be my own child.
Tamawaki Mio took up her pencil and wrote in her notebook. Her writing was like undulating water in the springtime. The tail of the smaller lion settled to the ground as he waited silently for her to finish.
Should I have the chance to see you again, I'd search the 4 seas, diving deep as the sea tangle.
I stared out at the ocean and its calm waves.
Here, take it.
But where should I take it?
I just want you to take it with you. I'm not really sending it anywhere. If you drop it, that's fine. And if you lose it, that's all right too. It's a matter of emotion.
And he plucked off his lion's mask and tucked the note inside the stitching. Sometime later, I found myself standing on a sandy hill, high above the sea, just where I'd seen the doves dancing in the sky. I felt as though I was waking from a dream. Tamawaki Mio was nowhere to be seen. I was alone. I was free. Beneath me, the waves rolled silently onto the beach. Wanting to see where Tamawaki Mio's message would go, I looked for the dancing lions. As far as I could see, the blue of the ocean stretched in every direction. Perhaps the gentleman was still alive and well. Isn't that why she had sent that message?
Should I have the chance to see you again, I'd search the 4 seas, diving deep as the sea tangle.
Because of her uncertainty, Tamawaki Mio could neither follow him into the afterlife nor keep on living. With half-closed eyes, I looked toward the cape and saw the brilliant flickering of sea fire. It was the lion dancer's red costume. The 2 emerged from their clothes. The older boy walked away from the water and plopped down on the sand to rest, his straw sandals pointing toward the scattered strands of seaweed, glistening like rays of sunlight. But the smaller lion sprang to life, now charging the waves, now fleeing from them.
He entered the water until he was knee-deep and stood quietly for a moment. Then he walked in up to his waist and jumped the waves 2 or 3 times. Then, completely naked, dived straight into the water. Such admirable courage! Yet, it didn't seem as though he knew how to swim. He struggled vigorously, fighting back at the water, striking the waves with his hands and feet. The lion had become an infant. The white light patting his head and the green waves embracing his chest, as if he were some blessed child. I whispered a prayer for the child's safety. To my relief, the boy emerged from the sea. But then he grabbed his lion's head and put it on his wet body. He jumped back into the water and swam straight out. He kept swimming until the lion's head became a mere dot on the horizon. I stared into the sun. Then suddenly I lost sight of him. I waited and watched, but the boy didn't come back to the surface. It wasn't until the next day, with a low tide at dawn, that they discovered the body. Not just one body, but 3. The wanderer who had been missing, entwined in the body of Tamawaki Mio, beautiful and alluring. Tamawaki Mio had finally discovered the destination of the dead. She had kept her promise, and in her arms lay the boy, the messenger. His head was like a jewel pressed against the woman's breast.
This, then, was the wanderer's story. The monk clasped our hands and smiled at us both.
It seems that though none of us planned or wanted to be here, we can all count ourselves fortunate to be so. Sometimes the true reason for our journey is hidden from us. And sometimes the journey is our prize and not the destination.
We all went our separate ways the next morning. The wanderer headed south, the monk began his ascent into the snow-covered mountains, and I turned my footsteps to my home. The sun shone brilliantly on the snow as I watched the wanderer merge with the distant fields. I turned my eyes to the monk. He climbed slowly and steadily as he made his way up the mountain road. From where I stood, the holy man of Mount Koya seemed to be riding on the clouds.
Japanese Gothic Tales by Izumi Kyoka, dramatized by Georgia Pritchett. In The Holy Man of Mount Koya, the monk was played by Adrian Scarborough, the woman was played by Leah Williams, and the old man by Geoffrey Palmer. In A Tale of Three Who Were Blind, Sakagami was played by Simon Russell Beale, Blind Man was played by Toby Jones, the blind woman, Leah Williams, and older blind man was Geoffrey Palmer. In One Day in Spring, the Wanderer was played by Paul Rees, the priest was Neil Dudgeon, the man Ian Robertson, the lion boy Oscar Fletcher, and Tamawaki Mio was played by Mairead McKinley. All other parts were played by members of the company. The music and soundscape was by Howard Davidson. Japanese Gothic Tales was directed by Roxana Silbert and is a Catherine Bailey production for BBC Radio 3.